But sometimes you've got to, reconstruct, look at yourself, because one thing I always say about responsibility in relation to why sometimes things go wrong, yeah, there may be external factors, but the one person ultimately you've got to look at is the reflection in the mirror. The buck ultimately stops with you.
Hello and welcome back to Conversations with myself, Francis Koh. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we have another exciting show ahead. Very much looking forward to this one. My next guest is an English barrister, lecturer and television personality. He has worked as a barrister since 1986 with experience in a wide range of criminal cases. He has been a criminal defense advocate for over 30 years and has worked on a number of high-profile cases throughout his career. He has devoted a large part of his time to social enterprise work, visiting schools, colleges, and other institutions to educate students on different aspects of the law. He has presented programs for BBC Radio 4 and is a regular contributor to BBC Radio 5 Live. He is a game show veteran. He was the finalist on the first series of Are You an Egghead? He became the first black winner of the renowned Mastermind TV show. Please allow me to welcome to the show Dr. Shaun Wallace, the man who believes chasing your dream is everything. Oh. So, Dr. Shaun Wallace.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, Francis. I'm really, really good. I'm fine, thanks.
Thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for coming. Let's start here and we go back. I want to talk about chasing the dream.
Yeah.
I think this book is more important than I actually realized it was. I say that to say this. I first became aware of you through The Chase. Yeah. And your sense of humor on The Chase, it's different, but you're very intimidating. And your level of knowledge and intelligence, it's like, wow, I thought you were just a born genius. Until I dived into your life. So I'm like, you mean to tell me he failed exams?
Yeah.
Teacher said he's not going to amount to nothing but to go to prison?
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
And that's one of the reasons I wrote the book, Francis, because everybody sees me, obviously, on TV in a highly successful quiz show, and they think that I was born famous. They think I was, born clever. But everybody has a backstory, everybody has a journey. And you mentioned the fact that, I have failed exams. And I want people to realise that if you do have setbacks in life, it doesn't define you as a person. Your future isn't behind you because of one or two setbacks. And it's important that, you recover from those setbacks. You've got to have the drive and ambition to actually do so. But the love and support of people who've really got your best interests at heart is also an important contributing factor.
Wow. So we're going to go back. So you saying that your mum plays a big role?
My mum, my dad, although they split up when I was 15, I mentioned that most candidly in the book. My oldest sister, I've got a sister called Sandra,
yes,
who came over from Jamaica in the late 60s. Most Caribbean families do have a situation whereby the oldest sibling was left behind so the mother and father could come to the so-called mother country in order to try and build a better life for their children. So my older sister came in the mid-60s, and she was my first great hero because she taught me the importance of education. And the one thing I always say to young people, irrespective of how old you are, irrespective of your ability, intellect or otherwise, that the key to staying in control of your own destiny is to have an educated mind.
Talking about your sister, because your sister kind of like foresaw the future for you. She bought your first law book.
Yeah, she did.
And she signed it, saying the future barrister will write even way before. Well, how strong was that for you?
It was good. I knew what I wanted to be when I was 11 years old. Everybody has dreams when you're a little kid of wanting to be a footballer, wanting to be nowadays, in the music business or so or a YouTuber. But I knew what I wanted to be at a very early age. I used to watch programs which may be far beyond your recollection because you're far too young to remember. Programs like Petrocelli or Rumpole of the Bailey. And I was really impressed in relation to the way how people use their oral skills to the best of their ability to put their client's interest first. And that's what a good barrister or a good lawyer should always do, irrespective of fame or fortune. And I wanted to be like that. And apart from the fact that, you got to dress up in a sort of wig and gown.
Yeah.
And as a young kid, although I was quite bright, I was like the clown of the class, always sort of cracking jokes. So I thought it would be a good fit to use my sort of verbal dexterity to try and carve a career for myself.
And you did well. So I think one of the problems that we have, a lot of young men are facing today, is the fact that the pressure's too much. I mean, they look at Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, they see all these celebrities and they fail at school and they really get disheartened looking at you, how you turned out. How important is it for kids to know that it's okay to fail, but it doesn't define who you are?
Yes, exactly. That's the thing which I said in our initial conversation. Nobody likes failure because failure can, in some people, in some cases, destroy you to the point that you become so demoralised that you just don't want to engage in the world, engage in society, and you sort of take a path of sort of antisocial behaviour, which leads you to the path of ruin and destruction. So, the one thing you made the important point that, social media is a sort of, the technological age in which we live, where we see, an ordinary person having Instagram followers, which runs into the millions or sometimes billions, and they want to be like that. Now, only the top 1% can actually get it to the very top. You do need talent, but also you do need that bit of luck, because no matter how talented you are in life, you do need the ingredients of luck and talent in order to actually get you to where you want to get to. Because no matter how talented you are, you still need to be seen by the right person, the person who could make the difference between you being what you want to be in life or a lifetime of mist to obscurity.
That's interesting you say that. What was it like for you growing up? Do you think it's any different now than it was for you? Because you go in a lot of schools and prisons and you speak to the young ones. What do you think is missing? Is there a link between?
Right. Okay. Education standards 50 years ago had a low expectation if you were black. They expected you as a young black boy after leaving school to leave school without qualifications, to either end up in a factory or working as a bus driver, or the usual self-fulfilling prophecy that your teachers had for you is that you were going to end up in a dock and therefore a short step to prison. If you're a young black girl, they expected you to either be working in a typing pool or end up pregnant, living in a high-rise council flat with loads of kids with no father to support. So they had a low expectation of black people not aspiring to dreams like being a doctor, lawyer or dentist. And I was determined not to be dictated to by people who had a very low expectation of me. If you come to my home, and hopefully one day you'll come to my home and we can...
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the invitation, we've got it on camera.
You've got it on camera.
I will be there.
Right. On my wall, I've got a mural, which I call my inspiration, of all the people as a young boy who used to inspire me as a kid, ranging from Nelson Mandela to Pele to Muhammad Ali. Because as a young black boy, you need people to look up to idolise. And as a young black boy growing up, I was comfortable with being black. I was proud to be black. And when you saw that the world's best footballer was black, the world's greatest sportsman was black, I knew who Nelson Mandela was. I knew who Martin Luther King was as a young boy growing up, because although my dad wasn't a literate man, the one thing he always encouraged me to do was to be aware and engaged of the world around you. So he encouraged me to read newspapers. I could read by the age of 7. I always used to watch the news with him. So I knew who these characters were. And to see Gary Sobers hit 6 sixes I remember the day, it was August the 31st, 1968. It made me proud to know that a black man could achieve that. So I used to sort of daydream and think that, if I could achieve a fraction of what they've achieved in life, then my life is going to be a life worth living. And I used to daydream like that as a kid. So I've got all a mural of all these people, ranging from Bob Marley to Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, you name it, I've got them on my wall. One of my favourite images on the wall is Tommy Smith's Black Power salute. I remember that as a kid because I was so proud that he was prepared to stand up for what he believed in, and he paid the ultimate price of being sort of sent home from the Olympics, even though he broke the world record for 200 metres. So Tommy Smith's one of my great heroes, and the two most important figures in my life are my greatest heroes, my mum and dad. So they are the source of inspiration to me. And when I moved into my home and I painted those murals on my wall, I had a picture of me, because I've got a smaller version in my attic. And I painted a picture of me when I got called to the bar at the age of 24. And I used to sort of proudly show these to the people who used to come up to my attic, and they said to me, how can you put yourself alongside these illustrious people? And my answer was short and sweet. If you can't be a hero in your own house, where can you be a hero?
That's super, super powerful. You touched on mum and dad. Let's touch on that a little bit further. Obviously, mum and dad weren't together for you.
No, I mean, as I say, I'm very candid in the book because they were like cat and dog, completely different. But the one thing, when my dad moved out, obviously it was a devastating blow to him because like every black man, an Englishman's home is his castle. But the one grateful thing I have with me, even though my parents did split up, was this: that I saw my dad regularly. And one of the most important things for me is to have that bond with my father. And you can see the dedication I've made to my dad, that although he passed away sadly 7 years ago, I'll never forget what he did for me. And I simply said that, until we meet again, I'm sure we will. And one of the problems that young black men have growing up sometimes is the absence of a sort of authoritative male figure. And for me, that was very, very crucial and important to have that male role model in my life.
Do you think anything can be done? Because within our community, that is a big problem. Like
it is.
Once they go, either the father doesn't want to come or the mother. I think that the fight between mother and father gets to.
Sometimes it does get in the way, and sometimes young children are caught up in that sort of emotional crossfire, and sometimes they get left behind, and sometimes because of that, when they're reaching out for love and support, it's not all embracing like how they want it, and sometimes they look for other means to actually get that attention, and sometimes that's how you see. Sometimes I think, I'm not saying it's the be all or end all, but you see young black men drifting to the sort of seedier side of society, whereby you have these sort of so-called young guys who basically entice them with a mobile phone, with trainers, and the next thing you know, they're on the county lines. So, we need to break that cycle of young boys, rather than focusing on the sort of, the fast life and the sort of, the glitz and the sort of trainers. And it's important to make that eternal sacrifice as a young person growing up. Now, I'm saying to you now, we all have that rite of passage. We've been like, as an 18-year-old boy growing up, you think you're the man of the house, you want to be going out, rather than striking the right balance between knowing when to work hard and knowing when to study. It is we've all been it, we've all done that, we've all clashed with our parents. But with me, I knew still that even though I was struggling with my sort of independence, it still didn't deflect me from what I wanted to be in life.
That's amazing. And I guess you've always been a believer in yourself from young.
Yeah.
Because you even went on to play football at semipro.
Yeah. Yeah,
that is amazing.
Yeah, I told everybody as a kid growing up that I was going to play in the 1986 World Cup with Cyril Regis and Gary Lineker. I got as far as Hendon Reserves.
My friends
do laugh,
yeah.
But I still managed to actually play at Wembley Stadium. Got 2 Cup Winners' medals playing in those games, and that's more than most professionals achieve in a lifetime. And I had those 2 Cup Winners' medals in my respective pockets. They're the grandfather Mastermind. We do have. One of the reasons I wanted to be a professional footballer, because I always used to think I could play football, and I was quite good. not bad as a centre forward. I call myself a black version of a poor man's Teddy Sheringham. Yeah, that's what I call myself. But I was inspired by footballers growing up who were educated, who had normally when you play football, they think all you got is a talent in your feet and no brains. But there were some footballers like Ozzy Ardiles. Remember Ozzy Ardiles?
Yes.
He won the World Cup for Argentina. He was a qualified lawyer. There was a brilliant midfield footballer called Socrates who used to smoke 60 cigarettes a day. He was the South American Footballer of the Year in 1981. He was a qualified doctor. So I always think that if you have an educated mind and you ally that to talent, I think that gives you the slight edge because you can think laterally, you can think clearly, you can see the bigger picture in relation to the game that you're playing. And I wanted to be like that. I was going to combine law as a law and football.
So you done that. You made it to the other side. One of the things that I've been a victim of it. Police stopping us for pretty much no reason. Even you at your position, once you made it, you've been stopped a number of times. But what you always say, because I believe in what you say way before you say, conduct yourself in a way that you don't give them excuse.
Yeah.
But it's hard.
Of course it's hard.
It's hard.
Everybody is blessed with different temperament.
Yes.
Right? I'm not going to basically say, because sometimes, on the one hand, the police have got to do a job. They've got to investigate. They're there to keep us safe and try to impose a semblance of law and order. But there's no getting away from the fact that, the Macpherson report made it absolutely clear that the Metropolitan Police in particular, and some police forces, despite their so-called best efforts, still have that element of institutional racism. If you have a dark skin, the natural reaction of a police officer is to actually look at you and view you with suspicion, they'll stop you, they'll search you. On some occasions, they have quite right and reason to do so, but other reasons they don't. And sometimes, there is that abuse of power in relation to the stop and search, which really means that the police officers, in my view, being a person who's been in the criminal justice system for a considerable period of time, should be held proper to account when they do overstep and abuse their powers. Yeah.
Is there any advice you can give to the young men out there how to handle the situation if they're in that?
Well, as I say, young people have different temperaments. I've got a different temperament. I, would always say that, as long as you, if you've done nothing wrong, you've got nothing to fear. Even though you have a situation whereby the police will provoke you until you get to a situation, and it's hard not to reach that tipping point where you simply say enough is enough and I'm not putting up with it. And sometimes understandably so. But as best as you possibly can, never give them an excuse.
What is it like being a barrister?
Probably it is the best thing that ever happened to me. And the reason being is because as a young boy growing up, I was like Muhammad Ali. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be the greatest. But if you talk the talk, you've got to be able to walk the walk. And even to this day, when I qualified in November '84, it's still the best thing that happened to me, because when you come off that academic conveyor belt, and I've talked candidly in relation to the fact that I had setbacks in relation to doing passing O-levels, I had setbacks in relation to passing A-levels, because although you can have the most tremendous photographic memory, there is an art to passing exams, and if you don't have that art, you're going to struggle. And I did struggle. I remember 42 years ago when all my friends were going off to university, and the boy who basically had no plan B because he was going to be a lawyer had to sort of stay back a year because of the fact that I didn't get the requisite grades. Was embarrassing, humiliating, and I thought at the time that my life was behind me. But sometimes you've got to, reconstruct, look at yourself, because one thing I always say about responsibility in relation to why sometimes things go wrong, there may be external factors, but the one person ultimately you've got to look at is the reflection in the mirror. The buck ultimately stops with you. So I had to sort of, look at myself and with the determination and the help of support and guidance of teachers who had my best interests at heart, I got through. So when you come off that academic conveyor belt and you get to where you're getting to, qualified barrister, yes, it's the proudest moment of my life. But even at that point, and another message which I always beat the drum about is this: no matter what you achieve in life in terms of success, all the success that you strive for, all it does is bring you to the start line of a different challenge. Doesn't do anything else other than that.
Wow.
You've always got to actually push yourself as an individual. And I see myself, and I make this point all the time, I see myself as a goal model for people to look up to. Not a role model, because I really am uncomfortable with that phrase, because I'm human just like everybody else. I make mistakes. And I don't want to sort of hold myself off as a paragon of virtue. And sometimes when people put you on a pedestal so high, the fall from grace, if you do make a mistake, is unrelenting, and sometimes there's no way back. I'm comfortable sitting on the floor. If I make my mistake, it's a different height to fall from.
That's one thing that struck me about you. You are so given. You are so humble. Yes, we know you're human, but millions of people look up to you. Like, you've changed lives, but yet still you're just down to earth.
Because I'm no better than anybody else. So what if I'm on telly? You can put a monkey in a suit in a popular TV show. He's going to be revered and look like God's gift to women. 21 years ago, I was Shaun who? That's all I was. When I was going through my own personal sort of up and down in relation to my sort of professional career, people could walk past me and they wouldn't even give me the time of day. And I'm not saying that the attention and the adulation I get is nice, but the one thing it doesn't do is go to my head, because you know why? It can go tomorrow. But if it goes tomorrow, I'm old enough, mature enough to realise that, so you know what, guess what? I've had a great time. I can do other things. Whereas if you have fame at a young age, and that's why, as we've seen with the wonderful victory by Emma Raducanu, everybody's claiming her now. She's Chinese, because her mum's Chinese. All of a sudden the Chinese are claiming her. So she's this sort of world person. Her dad's half Romanian, so Eastern European are claiming her. Britain obviously going to beat the drum because they're saying she's British. She's born in Canada.
Yeah.
So she will have, hopefully, the support and guidance to actually, guide her, which will hopefully be a successful career. But sometimes if you get fame and the bar she set herself is so high, she's going to have to work hard to maintain it. And I'm sure she will. But the one thing I say about fame sometimes with people who get it young is that sometimes it's hard to deal with it, and you're allowed to get to your head because you're not mature enough or responsible enough to deal with it. And as long as you've got the right people around you who basically don't tell you what you want to hear, but tell you how it is, then fame is something you can handle, I suppose.
That's beautiful. Talking about having the right people around you, you have your brother. You and your
brother.
Yeah,
my brother Steve-O. Yeah.
That is...
we've got a great rivalry, but I love that.
Despite the football side of things.
Yeah, it's the football, yeah. But I speak to him every day.
Yeah.
We got off the phone, we just take the mickey out of each other all the time. But if you could choose your family or your brothers at birth, he was all now chosen.
How important is it to have someone you can talk to, you can joke to, you can rely on?
Everybody. I've got the same friends I've grown up with. I don't do showbiz because I wasn't born in showbiz. Yeah. So, I'll be at the sort of NTAs where I won the award, part of the chase team, winning Beat the Chase was fantastic. But the minute they gave us the award, I ordered a taxi. I'm on my way home. I mean, on Friday, I'm going to a school reunion of, we call it the class of 1971. And these are school mates I went to school with in my secondary school. And
I guess you can be you around them. They love me for me.
The only way, even in the sort of whole sort of shebang of fame, I'm me. The only time you see a different side of me is when I'm quizzing on the chase. I'm not there to play. I'm not there to smile. Right? I'm there to win. But in saying that, I'm the only chaser who'll go and see the contestants afterwards, whether they win or lose. But in this sort of showbiz hype, be yourself. Don't be anybody you're not. Because if you can't cope with the fame when it is dragged away from you, you're going to struggle. Just be yourself.
Before we touch into the chase, we're going to start. So you're watching TV, you're seeing all these quizzes, you're saying, this looks easy.
No, nothing's easy. This looks something I think I could do.
Yeah.
And the only reason I went into quizzing in the sort of late 90s, early noughties is because it's easy sitting in the comfort of your sofa answering questions. How good are you with the lights shining on you, with a studio audience, with millions of people watching on TV? I want to see how good I was. And if there was a prize at the end of it, I'm going to claim it.
So you're very competitive.
Oh yeah, I'm competitive. Oh yeah.
You come through in the chase.
Yeah, I'm competitive. Yeah, I win.
Before we then Mastermind came.
Well, the journey for there was a journey beforehand, because obviously I was on different quiz shows, and obviously I had my setbacks. 15-1 being the most embarrassing one. When I sort of took 6 weeks off work, read 27 encyclopedias, thought I was the brainiest person who ever lived, and I was the first person to get knocked out. And it taught me a big lesson. Never overestimate your abilities and never underestimate your opponent.
But you still came back.
Yeah, I came back.
A lot of people wouldn't.
Yeah, I came back because I'm good. And I wanted to see how good I was. I wanted to see how far it would take me. If you were to ask the young Shaun Wallace, when he sort of was daydreaming in his class, would he in 2021 be one of the most recognisable faces in the country? He probably would have said yes. But probably not for the reason he thought. Because, I wanted to make and for me now, it's about trying to help others to get to where they want to. I'm well known today, but I'm today's news, I'm tomorrow's chip wrapper. That's how I've always treated fame. Right, so it's important for me now to go into schools, and I was doing that before I became famous anyway, because when I first started out as a young barrister, I was a part-time lecturer at Hackney College, teaching 4 nights a week. I did that for 15 years. Because for me, it was important as a black man going to a deprived area like Hackney to basically say to people, look, I'm prepared to give up my evenings. You're prepared to actually, irrespective of your age, ability, whatever, you want to better yourself by educating your mind. All I want from you is that you work hard, I'll work hard for you. Don't slacken, because I didn't drag you here. And it was a pleasure. Taught over 3,000 students in my career. And for me, it's important of saying to the next young person who I address, I could be talking to the next Prime Minister. I could be talking to the person who finally lifts the World Cup for England. I could be talking to the person who discovers a cure for cancer. Don't be frightened to dream big. Ask yourself this question: why can't it be you? That's what it's all about. Why can't it be you?
What does it take to be a mastermind winner?
Luck. Don't care whatever, no matter how talented you are, you still need luck to be on your side. You obviously need to put the hard work in and enjoy the hard work you're putting in. And you need to, I suppose, my training as a barrister helped me a great deal, because you're taught to research, you're taught to remain calm under pressure, you're taught to think on your feet, you're taught to be fearless. If I get a question wrong, guess what? I'm confident I'm going to get the next question right. So, that's what it takes, I suppose, to be a quiz competitor, and I suppose to be a mastermind champion. And, although I'm the first black person to win, I just hope that I won't be the last. Because what it basically set out, from so far as I'm concerned, was that it showed that we're more than just talented musicians. It showed that we're more than just talented athletes. It showed that we have the intellectual capacity just like our white counterparts, if not better sometimes. And that's why I like Black History Month, for this particular reason. It shines the light on black achievement. Whereas the problems I have with Black History Month is that we should be recognising it 24/7, 365 days a year, or 366 in a leap year. And some people who have made a positive contribution to the development of society in all fields, entertainment, science, are black. There's no getting away from that. But why are we being marginalised? because of the fact sometimes I feel that the establishment fears what we really can be capable of achieving.
And you prove for this because teachers told you from a young age you're going to be in prison.
Yeah, I mean, they were right about that. Only they forgot to say that after having seen my client, I can go home again.
Jesus. We touched back, what is it like for you when you are, because there was a case where you, before you got the call for the chase, he was representing a client and he really wanted you to represent him. It was Egghead, I believe, when you had to compress out the shooting in 1 week. What is it like for you knowing that this person's life is in my hands?
Obviously, it's a great responsibility, but remember this, as long as a barrister prepares the case well and really well and doesn't tell the client what he or she wants to hear, the one thing any lawyer can't do in any trial is to change the evidence which you're presented with. You've got to work with the cards that you're dealt with. That's what happens in an adversarial system of justice. You've got to have a winner, you've got to have a loser. So as long as, and treat every case, irrespective of how serious or trivial it is, that it requires the right attention to detail, the right attention in terms of preparation.
Do you think as a community we lack seeking legal advice at beginning stages, having proper representation? Because we always get it when we are in trouble and we rush.
Well, to be honest, the one thing I would always try to implore people is to seek legal advice as least as you possibly can. Because why would you want to engage in the legal process, be it criminal or civil anyway? Because it's a stressful environment. You know, obviously sometimes you do need to engage in the legal service, for example, if you're buying a house, for conveyancing. But otherwise, I always say to people, unless you need a lawyer for a specific reason, try as best as you possibly can not to engage with the law. Because why? Why would you need to? Everybody wants to have a sort of an easy and a sort of a trouble-free life as they possibly can. And, engaging in the legal process can be stressful for a person who has no experience of that process.
That's so true. Going back to the chase, not only are you the star of the chase, you was the first ever chaser.
The world's first chaser.
The program was based around you, and you had a lot of say who came and who didn't, and designed around you.
Well, I didn't have a. Okay, I didn't have a. Okay.
You had an input in it.
Right. Well, okay. I'll tell you how it went. Obviously, the book which I've written tells my life story within a day of having lost the Eggheads Grand Final. Anyway, fast forward to that. In the October of 2008, they were then showing my appearance on Are You an Egghead? And I then got a phone call out of the blue from ITV asking me, can I take part in an audition in what they considered to be an exciting new game show concept. Now, at that time, I'd retired from quizzing because when I won Mastermind in 2004, I retired for 4 years. Where else could I go? The cover was blown, really. So BBC implored me, they begged me 3 times to come out of retirement, and I did, and I got all the way to the grand final. And I was the only contestant in that 32 contest who had to play the quarterfinal, semi-final, final all in one day, because I could hardly say to a judge, oh, by the way, Your Honour, can I simply nip out to do a quiz show in the middle of a Crown Court trial? They told me where to get off. Losing was devastating for me because it was my first defeat in a quiz show in 5 years. But every cloud has a silver lining. So when I went to the audition, they asked me 30 questions. I got 28 out of 30. They asked me what I was doing quizzing-wise. I said, look, I've retired now. I said, oh, by the way, I'm on Are You an Egghead on BBC. They said to me, how did you do? I said, I'm not telling you. I said, well, if you want to see how well I did, look at that as my audition, and I left. So when they showed me losing the Eggheads Grand Final on December 2nd, 2008, the following day I was in front of an ITV commissioning panel trying to convince them of this exciting new game show concept. So I had to go through 3 separate auditions over a 4-month period, taking me to April 2009. So I am the world's first chaser. And I think if you heard when they gave us the award, I was sort of, I didn't even want to go on stage, to be fair, and my producer had to drag me up because you know what? Guess what? Done all that, been all that, done all the bits. I mean, let somebody else have to go. He said, "No, you're coming on." He dragged me on. So I said, "All right, I'm going on last."
Yeah.
So I walked on and I stayed at the background because although I'm well known, sometimes it's hard to keep a low profile. The nice thing he said, he introduced Jenny, our new chaser, and he said the original chaser, Shaun Wallace.
Yeah.
So I suppose the influence I had was not in relation to the way in which the program developed, but I would say that my quizzing prowess dazzled the ITV commissioning panel.
No, and you're so serious with it. Like when we watch you at home, like, do you do that on purpose to intimidate them?
No, just do. Look, I'm not there to skin no teeth. All right, I'm there to a bit of win. Yeah, and me and Bradley, we get on really, really well. Bradley's 2 days younger than me.
Yeah.
I'm born the 2nd of June 1960. He's born June the 4th. And I suppose the reason why we have that sort of relationship is because I suppose we've had a sort of parallel upbringing in terms of where we got to now. I grew up as a young lad in Wembley, had designs of wanting to be a lawyer, had designs of wanting to be a footballer. Bradley was a professional footballer, injured himself. He gave up that career, sadly, at the age of 22 and wanted to be an entertainer. So, he's had to do the hard apprenticeship, the sort of working men's clubs where you got to one man and his dog booing you because your jokes are rubbish. The sort of red coat, yellow coat, blue coat, working in Butlins camps, you name it, the cruise ships. So he served his apprenticeship. And the one thing which I mentioned to you before is this, and it's very, very important, that Bradley is a talented, very funny man, but he'd be the first to admit there are thousands, probably millions of talented people in his position whose talent will never see the light of day. And that's why I say to you, you still need that bit of luck to be in the right place at the right time, to be seen by the most influential person who could make the difference, you being a global superstar or Mr. Obscurity. So that's why I always say to young children in particular, or when I go into schools, I always say to them is this: put your best foot forward at all times. Always make sure your talent's on show. Because the future belongs to them, not to me. I'm a guardian of today. They're the generation of tomorrow who's going to make the difference. The Emma Raducanos, the XYZs, you name it. They're the people who are going to be the big news in the 30s when I'm in my 80s, in the 40s when I'm in my 90s, and so on and so forth. But for me, it's all about, I think the biggest compliment I could pay myself is probably long after I've gone. I've shuffled off this mortal coil, because all the fame and money and riches in the world means nothing to you when you're dead, because you can't take it with you, even though the Egyptians have tried. But I want the name Shaun Wallace to mean something, resonating down the ages.
Wow.
That's the legacy I want to leave.
I mean, you've got a brilliant life, full of drama, full of ups and downs. Any regrets?
No. As I say, I always wanted to achieve something in life. I always wanted to make my mark. But as I said to you before, if you used to ask a young Shaun Wallace, was this the way you're going to make your achievement? You would say, me? Nah, not at all. So sometimes even now, it may sound strange what I'm about to say, but I still got to pinch myself that this is actually happening. Because sometimes I think I'm going to wake up in my sort of, this is a parallel universe which I'm living. I'm going to wake up one day and I'm going to go back to my sort of dreary existence whereby I'm sort of, working, struggling, to pay the bills and...
But, well, that will never come.
Listen,
it might, but I don't think it will.
It won't, because I'm conscious of the fact that, I think the thing which drives me on is the fact that, with fame comes responsibility.
Yes.
It does. So, my community love me and they respect me, and I'm not going to let them down by doing something, by, getting caught doing something which I shouldn't be doing, or being in the newspapers for the wrong reasons. So for me, it's important to always bear that in mind, and always bear that, obviously life can change just like that. But, as much as you can control your destiny, which I'm going to try and do in my 60th plus years, then I want to make my community proud.
I think you will, because as you said, it's a very long way down from the top. And I think what's different between you and most people, in a short space of time we've known each other, you have been like, I'm speaking to Shaun Wallace. Like, but you don't see yourself as that.
No.
And everyone that I know that knows you says the same. So if we've got you.
And I love that. And don't get me wrong, it is humbling. It is an honour. But as I say, it comes with responsibility. I'm human just like everybody else, and I'm going to try my hardest not to let the people who love and revere and cherish me, especially the people who are the same colour of skin as me, to let them down, because it would be a tremendous disappointment. And it would basically give the so-called critics who say, look, I told you so.
Because they're waiting. Of
course they're waiting.
And they can keep on waiting.
Yeah, and you know what, guess what? They are going to come. Yeah. You're right.
Talking about, your age is just phenomenal. Like, you working out. Tell us, what's that routine? What's your morning routine? Are you eating well?
Yeah.
What's the secret? Because
you know what, everybody has, I personally think, especially with the pandemic, which we've just gone through, it's claimed lives, it's claimed lives of people I know, it's something which you can't control. And it brought home to me, especially in relation to the importance of health, both physical and mental, eating well. And I've always been like that. When I became 40, obviously I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but I made it my personal mission to try and be responsible for my own physical and mental well-being, because my mum, sadly, although she is 91 now and suffers from Alzheimer's and diabetes. My dad died of motor neuron disease 7 years ago. He also had diabetes. And I look at them and I think to myself, I don't want to be like that. So look after your health. Okay, you asked me about my training regime. You're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you. In the morning, what I normally do is, when I first started out, I would do 1,000 stomach crunches in the morning, which I then up to 2,000 in the morning. When I was on a cruise ship...
Sorry, just like 1 to 1,000 and 1 to 2,000.
Yeah. You just listen. You do that. I do that listening to Tribe Called Quest or Mobb Deep or things like that. Music which I love, or Busta Rhymes' The Anarchy album. There's 4 tracks on there, which I just love, right? Because I love those guys. Right. So last year I was in a rowing show called Don't Rock the Boat.
Yeah.
Where we had to row from Land's End to John O'Groats. I was the oldest contestant. And that was a physical and mental challenge. So I went out and got myself a rowing machine. So what is my regime now? So I'd get up in the morning, row for 20 minutes, try and do 4,000 meters.
At what time are we getting up?
About 7:30.
Okay.
Then do my 1,000 stomach crunches. I've got a bar outside, do 50. Then I repeat that cycle. Then in the evenings, after I've gone to court or gone to filming, or sometimes in the mornings, depending upon what my schedule's like, I've got a personal trainer, the best personal trainer in the world, Sergeant Major Bicker.
Sergeant, I'm not sure.
Right, so he puts me through a training, 40-hour-minute training, either on the cross trainer, or Tuesdays is yoga and Pilates, Wednesdays back on the cross trainer, Thursdays might be riding a bike and so on and so forth. And I used to do it 3 times a day, but I've cut it down to 2 now because... So when I was on the cruise ship the other day, because sometimes I didn't have anything to do apart from, I used to do like audience with Shaun Wallaces like we're doing here. So I had a lot of free time in my hand. I did 40,000 stomach crunches. Loved it. 40,000. And somebody said to me, why? Well, why not? I wanted to see if I could do it. So, things like that.
I need to step my game up. I need to step my game up.
But this is what I say to you, right? Everybody should fit their own level. I do it because sometimes I'm just stupid, right? But for me, it's important of making that investment now So when I'm in my 80s and sort of hopefully into my 90s, I'm going to be less dependent on people. I should be able to get around easier. So for me, and I think that if you keep your mind, you're physically well and you eat properly, it helps contributing to a more sharper mind.
Talking about sharper mind, I mean, your reading ability is just phenomenal. Ferocious reader, researcher. How important is reading?
Reading's important. Okay, you see, when people see my autobiography,
that's the big book.
That is a big book.
That's a big book.
It was cut down because originally it was over 1 million words, and my editor, and I didn't want to take out any of the words out of it because I wanted word for word it is. But when people have read it, they've loved it. And sometimes I suppose that it's important that you go to a professional editor who basically, okay, Shaun, don't be too overindulgent. I know what you're trying to say, but if you say it here in relation to the editing words I've done, so I basically relented to that. As a young boy, I've always had a passion for reading. Obviously, you can source information in different ways now, especially with the technological age in which we live. The internet, Google, you name it, Instagram, you can always pick up different sources of information. I buy the newspapers every single day because, like my dad taught me, it's important to be aware of what's happening in the world around you. So especially when it comes to quizzing, it's important to know what the latest films are, who's the number one in the charts, number one in the album charts, latest, who won which football match, who won this tennis thing, because that's the type of questions they ask you on the chase. Questions, subjects I already know. 1066 is not going to change.
That's true.
But if you keep yourself contemporary, then you're keeping yourself up to date. And who wants to stand still in trying to actually feed your mind with information? And on that subject about information, people say, you're the cleverest guy I've ever met. No, I'm no cleverer than you. Because we all started off on the same life journey. It depends upon where you want to take that life journey. For me, educating your mind is the way of staying in control of your own destiny. And if you feed your information mind with information, it helps stimulate you as a person, especially the older you get. So that's why I'm always encouraging the people to try and source as much information as you possibly can, because my motto is this: no information is useless. It can't be. It might not be of interest to some people, but information itself cannot be rubbish.
It's something.
It means something.
I always wanted to know this. On the chase, when you lot lose, like when the chasers lose, do you guys get in trouble?
No, not at all. We're human just like everybody else.
Yeah, I know, but that's loads of money. Like,
guess what? If you want to be offering sums of money because of the fact that it's a very popular show and sponsors are going to be attracted to it, hence that's the reason why they're going to put, so we can put vast sums. It's not my money, but I treat it as my money because I don't want to lose, and that's for professional pride. And that's why I take great pleasure when I win with 1 second to go. And I'll see the contestant's face down there. And I'm like, it's great. Equally, it's disappointing when I've lost by a second.
Yeah.
Because we don't like to lose. I'm a gracious loser. I don't like losing.
You handle it, but I can see that he's mad.
Yeah, I'm gracious because I will go and see the contestants afterwards. It takes courage to apply for a quiz show, let alone go on it. And if you can beat a professional quizzer like me, then you know what? More power to your elbow.
How many hours a day do you spend?
About 2 hours. So before I came here, I was revising. So I put in about, because I live just down the road from where we are now. So I did about an hour and a half worth of revision. So that's going to prepare me now for the quiz I'm taking part in tonight. And tomorrow morning, because I do a lot of quizzes in New Zealand, I host quizzes in New Zealand. So I've got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning for my third stint of hosting a quiz.
And after that, you do your 4,000 crashes?
Yeah, after that, I'll do that. I won't do 4,000. I'll do about 2, do the rowing and have a bath, watch a bit of Fraser, then off to my either court. And we're back in the studio this week, so back in the studio.
So how do you balance the two now? Because you're never going to quit as a barrister. That's you. How do you balance the two?
I'm a lawyer who happens to be on TV, and I'm great, and I want to be known in that order because if it wasn't for the law, I probably wouldn't be on television. The way in which I balance it, obviously, the chase does take a great deal of demand of my time. However, if I've got an important trial, then that will always take precedence. So I remember 2 years ago, I had a big trial at the Old Bailey, representing a client who was charged with double attempted murder, double attempted grievous bodily harm, double attempted firearms. And the trial was supposed to last 4 weeks. It ran into 5. I got him off the first 3 charges. Then I had to wait for the remaining 6 charges. And the jury were out 9 days. And the chase were frantically asking me, when am I coming back? When am I... Oh, get somebody, you've got cover.
Yeah.
I can't say to a judge, I'm leaving. So they've always appreciated the fact that my career is important. And thankfully, my client was acquitted. So if I do have to put my legal career first when it comes to clashing with the filming schedule, then they'll always make sure I make up my time later on in the series.
Wow. Chasing the Dream. Is there a second one coming?
That took me... Okay, I'll tell you the story behind that. It was originally called True to the Game.
Yes.
And I wrote it initially in 3 months I wanted to coincide with my appearance on Are You an Egghead? And what stopped me from publishing it was a film called Slumdog Millionaire. And I thought to myself, my true life story in relation to my quizzing exploits is going to be lost in an Oscar-winning fictional account. Yeah. I thought, nah. So I thought to myself, you know what? People are going to be more than interested in just what you do in quizzing. They're going to want to know where you started from. So I decided to actually tell the story from the outset. You know, from the minute I was born to 2008, where the story goes up to. You know, going through all my accounts. The one thing I didn't talk about is my relationships with the girlfriends I've had in the past. And I remember some of my ex-girlfriends' accounts saying, well, why didn't you mention me in the book? And my answer to that was simple. Firstly, what goes on behind closed doors in a relationship should stay behind closed doors. Secondly, I could write something in an account which you may not accept, and next thing you know, you're going to be sort of toing and froing, saying, that's not true, he lied here. Yeah. And so, and I always turned around and said to them, listen, if you want to write your own account, you can. But remember this, publishing be damned, and if you say anything untrue, I'll sue. So for me, it's not about sex, drugs and rock and roll. I never wrote that for that. I wrote it because I want people to, that's why I told the story in a narrative, me looking at my life, telling the story, because I want people to realise that there have been setbacks in my life and you can be inspired by my journey. But I don't want people to be, and I generally mean this, I don't want people to match my achievements. I want people to surpass my achievements. Because it's all about philosophy. If what I'm saying will inspire you, then my philosophy must be correct. And you're going to be like a little acorn, which you then grow into a tree, you drop your acorn, somebody else will pick it up, and that's how you create legacy. That's how you create philosophies. Because you've got to have an altruistic outlook in life. The one thing, as I said to you before, I'm not greedy. I want all of us, especially people of my colour, to do what I'm doing. Because you can do it. We all can't be mastermind champions. We all can't be what we want to be because, as I said to you before, only that 1% have that luck, talent seen by the right people to get you where you want to get to. But the one thing I say, with fame comes responsibility. And the one reason why I don't have showbiz friends is because sometimes I look at these people who are famous and they're so paranoid, they're so greedy, they don't want to actually help other people. I talk about the ladder of opportunity should be put down for everybody to climb up. Yeah. They don't want to put that ladder down for you. You know why? Because they're frightened of your talent. They're frightened of they're frightened of the opposition. They're frightened that you may take what they want. And those are the same people who had to rely on the public who made them famous in the first place. And you know what? Guess what? I ain't got time for that type of people. Stand over there. No, you stand together where you are.
Never forget where you come from. Literally.
Never.
It's just that simple.
Never forget the people who made you famous. The public made people famous.
It is that simple. It's facts. There's no denying that.
Yeah. They become so paranoid and sort of insular, and That's why when you see, especially, footballers are, earning vast riches, but they become more and more detracted from the people, the paying public. If I was playing football now, guess what? I'll probably have the Lamborghini's part, but I'll probably use my Oyster card and go into work. Because you engage with those people. As long as people are not rude or disrespectful, people can say what they like. As long as they're not rude, if they're rude and disrespectful, I'll go blank them. Similarly, when I, on my Instagram or my sort of Twitter followings, I get trolls. Just the way what I do. Okay, where's block?
Yeah, simple. So let's say there's a young kid out there wanting to be the next barrister, wanting to be the next TV personnel. What advice would you give them?
You got to work hard. You got to use your talent. You got to have the talent to do it. If you haven't got the talent to do it, you can't do it. I was never going to be a rocket scientist because I didn't have the talent for rocket science. Put your hat where you can reach it.
Put your hat where you can reach it.
Well, make sure this, educate your mind. It gives you reason to thought. It makes you make more rational, informed decisions, and you can separate who from who if you're educated. Wow. But you still need that talent. You still need that bit of luck. Not everybody, even when you qualify, even when you get into the sort of entertainment industry, are not going to get to where they want to get to. You've got to be seen by the right person at the right time. You still need that bit of luck. You don't care who you are. Richard Branson, Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the world. What, do you think he became the richest man in the world like that? No. He had an idea, somebody liked it, somebody had to back it. Okay, I like that. Yeah, great, yeah.
Powerful.
Still need that bit of luck to be seen by the right person who can make that difference.
And be nice to people.
Yeah, don't be...
Be nice.
Yeah.
It costs
There's
nothing.
Listen, as I say, I'm not being nice to you for the sake of being nice. I'm being nice because that's my nature, right? I'm grateful to be on this platform because it gives me an opportunity to speak to people who may not know what the chase is, who may want to see what is the real Shaun Wallace all about. Well, you're seeing this. And if they can watch that and say, yeah, that's a cool dude, I want to be like him, great. But be yourself. Try and surpass my achievements by listening to my philosophy. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Don't want nothing else, don't want nothing more in life. Because you know what? I could have £1 million, I could spend £1 million tomorrow. Because I know I've got the ability to get another £1 million. So I'm impressed by money. Because I remember when I didn't have a dime 20 years ago, the value of money, the value of where I am.
Do you think that also shapes who you are because of where you came from? You appreciate it more?
Yeah, it's all about appreciation of where, as I said, you're sitting here now, all right? Okay, you say, oh, I'm Shaun Wallace, I'm so revered, but you know what, guess what? It's an equal pleasure for me.
Thank you.
And I mean that, it's an equal pleasure for me because you'll give me the opportunity to spout my philosophy. So it's a pleasure for me. And for me, it's all about empowering people who may not have the same platform as me, and good. I want to empower you because you may be the next best thing 5 years down the line. And I hope that is the case. But you know what I wouldn't want? Don't thank me because it's not about me. It's about the talent you've put in. It's about the work you've done to get to where you want to get to. So the one thing I don't want from people is thanks. Well,
I take my thanks back, Shaun.
You must be a Spurs supporter.
No, listen, ladies and gentlemen, please, they talk about books. Please, please, please get this book from start to finish. You will find that the journey, one thing about this book, although we see Shaun on TV, you have to understand, it started off as a simple man, simple kid. And you could just tell by the way he conducts himself, he's still that person, kind, sharing. But most of all, he would teach you more important lessons that you thought you didn't even know. If a person can come from where he came from, failing exams, being told by his teachers that he will amount to nothing, with that said, have a strong family bond between his mother and father, loving sister, best friend of his brother, studied hard, read all he could, and enjoys life, imagine what more you can do. Absolutely. Please, guys, go out there and work on the best version of yourself to give back to others. Be kind, be nice. Thank you for listening.
Well said.
Thank you. Till next time, love, peace, and happiness. Mr. Shaun.